The moment you stop chasing someone, you'll finally see the truth they've been hiding all along. Let me be completely honest with you for a moment. You've probably spent countless hours, maybe even days or years, wondering where you truly stand with someone. You've tried reading all the signs, decoding every message, convincing yourself that it's just a temporary phase. But here's the hard truth: avoidance. Don't act the way you hope unless it's real. There's a big difference between being just an option and being their real choice. It becomes crystal clear if you know exactly what to look for. Today, I'm going to show you how avoidant people behave around what they really want versus what they don't. By the end of this, you're going to notice patterns you've been blind to for so long. And most importantly, you're going to reclaim your power. You need to understand something right now that will change how you see relationships. It will change how you see people who vanish and then come back. How you see someone who feels like they are here and not here at the same time. Avoidant people live in distance. It's their comfort zone. It's the way they protect themselves. It's how they feel safe. They build walls so high around themselves that most people never notice when those walls crumble. And most people never realize when they actually care. When it's just an option, when it's casual, when it's easy, when it's low stakes, they drift. They pull away. They disappear. They flirt with being absent. And here's the key: they do it automatically. They don't think about it. It's instinct. And that leaves you feeling confused, questioning, analyzing every word, every text, every pause. You replay conversations over and over in your head, trying to understand why someone who seemed so close now feels miles away. Here's the truth you need to hear. That distance, that pulling away, is exactly the line between being an option and being a real choice. When you understand this, you stop wasting your energy on people who will never meet you in the middle. When something actually matters to them, when it's not just convenient but truly important, their behavior changes. At first, it's subtle, almost invisible, but it's there. Their energy changes. Their focus sharpens. Suddenly, they are intentional. They are fully present. You feel it because it's impossible not to. You move from guessing about their intentions to knowing. It's like flipping a switch. One moment they are distant, cautious, detached. The next moment they show up. They make time, they reach out. They care in ways that feel intense because it's real, because it matters, because it's important. And here's the truth: you can't force this. You can't make them do it. You can't bargain, plead, or analyze your way into their attention. This is about what they actually want, not what they say, not what they promise, not what you hope. It's about raw, unfiltered truth. The kind that only comes when it's genuinely a choice and not just a possibility. Think about it. How many nights have you stayed awake asking yourself, do they really care? Are they interested? Am I enough? The answer isn't in the texts, the social media likes, or casual comments. The answer is in how they act when it's real, when it matters. When there's a real decision to make, the casual disappears, the aloofness fades, the games stop, because it's no longer about them protecting themselves. It's about something bigger, something deeper, something real. That's when the clarity arrives. That's when you finally see the difference between someone who just wants an option and someone who chooses you intentionally every single time. Here's where most people get it wrong. They see distance and immediately assume it's disinterest. They convince themselves it's hopeless. They see an avoidant person being distant and think, they don't care, I'm just another person in their orbit. And that's exactly where they miss the truth. Distance alone doesn't mean they don't care. It just means they're protecting themselves. It's a coping mechanism, not a judgment on you. It's the difference between someone who isn't ready to step forward yet and someone who never will. The key is learning how to see it. The key is noticing how they show up or fail to when it actually counts. When the stakes are high, when it matters. That's when the mask falls away. That's when the walls come down enough to see what's really inside. Not through words, not through fleeting gestures, but through clear, unmistakable presence. And it's not just about them. It's about you too. How you respond, how you recognize the difference. You begin to understand that you can't chase someone who isn't ready. You can't beg them to care more, to be more present, to treat you the way you deserve. You can only observe, notice, and act based on what you see. Because actions never lie. Words can be empty, promises can be broken. But the way someone consistently behaves, that's the truth. That's what shows what they actually want, and that's where your power lies. Avoidant people will always test boundaries without even meaning to. They pull away, they ghost, they flirt with distance, because closeness feels dangerous. Vulnerability feels unsafe. It triggers something inside them they're not ready to face. But when it's something they care about deeply, their behavior flips. They invest, they protect, they show up, they are deliberate, they are focused, and they are present. You can feel it instantly. You can sense the difference between someone who is avoiding and someone who is choosing. It's a subtle but unmistakable shift. You no longer question whether you matter. You no longer analyze every pause or every silence. You can see clearly, and when you see it, you can finally take control of your own energy. You stop wasting time on people who can't meet you where you are. You stop being confused, left wondering, replaying conversations in your mind, feeling anxious over mixed signals. You start responding to reality instead of your fears. That's the power of understanding avoidance. That's the power of recognizing who is an option and who is a choice. It's about seeing the difference between someone who drifts away because it's easy and someone who shows up because it matters. The clarity you gain isn't just about them. It's about you, about your worth, about your energy, about your time and how you spend it, about stopping the cycle of confusion, heartbreak, and second-guessing. It's about finally being awake to the truth that has always been there if you knew how to look. When you truly understand this, you no longer chase. You no longer plead. You no longer waste energy on the wrong people. You begin to attract those who are willing to show up fully, intentionally, deliberately. You learn that true care, true interest, and true connection aren't just in words. They are in presence, in attention, in the way someone prioritizes you when it really matters. That's the difference between being an option and being a real choice. And once you see it, everything changes. Your confidence rises, your clarity grows, your relationships transform. You stop being invisible to the right people, and you finally honor the person you are, the love you deserve, and the respect you require. How do you stop chasing what isn't really there and start noticing what is actually happening? How do you stop making excuses for someone's absence and begin seeing things clearly? Once you recognize this pattern, your perspective starts to shift. You stop overthinking every pause, every delayed reply, every little inconsistency. You start to understand that someone who seems distant when it's casual but deliberate when it's real isn't necessarily playing games. They are simply following their instincts, their comfort zones, their own version of what feels safe and natural to them. And that realization changes everything. It changes how you see the situation, how you react, and how you measure your own worth in relationships. Your perspective moves from fear to clarity, from confusion to certainty. You start noticing the signs, feeling the energy, understanding the rhythm of how they operate, and suddenly you know the difference between being just an option and being the real choice. It's like someone switches the lights on in a dark room. You can finally see the layout, the obstacles, the patterns, and most importantly, you understand exactly where you stand. So the next time you sense them pulling away, there is no need to panic. There is no need to overanalyze or overthink. You simply observe, you watch, you notice how they behave when it actually matters, because that is where the truth lives. That is where the signals are clear, undeniable, and easy to read. The moment you recognize it, the moment you truly understand the difference, you stop being lost in guessing games. You no longer desperately search for answers that will never come from words alone. You are awake, you are aware, you are ready. And that is the moment when you reclaim your power. When it is real, they will show up. They will prove it through action, not through empty promises. Words are cheap. Words are effortless. Anyone can say the right thing at the right time. I care about you. I'm here for you. You matter to me. All of these phrases sound comforting. They feel good to hear. They give hope, reassurance, and temporary satisfaction. But words mean nothing if they are not backed up by action. Actions are the true currency of truth. Actions are what prove that someone actually shows up in life, not just in conversation. Avoidants teach this lesson more clearly than almost anyone else, because when it's casual, when it's just an option, they will talk endlessly. They will flirt with commitment. They will make promises they never plan to keep. They will tell you exactly what you want to hear. And if you are not careful, you will spend weeks, months, even years believing those words. You will analyze every text, every laugh, every little gesture as if it were proof that they care, that they are choosing you, that they are invested. And it's exhausting, it's draining, it ultimately misleads you. Here is the important point. Avoidants often use words as a shield. Words are safe. Words don't require vulnerability. Words don't force them to face rejection, disappointment, or intimacy. They can say anything without actually doing anything. And that is why it is so critical to stop focusing on what they say and start focusing on what they actually do. Watch their actions carefully. Notice how they behave when it matters. When it is not just about convenience, when there is pressure, when a real choice has to be made, when boundaries need to be respected, that is where the truth emerges. Not in promises, not in sweet messages, not in vague statements like, maybe someday, or let's see how it goes. The moment it is real, when there is a decision to make or a commitment to honor, their behavior tells the whole story. That is the difference between someone who is invested and someone who is not. That is the difference between being just an option and being the real choice. Think about how many times you have looked at someone who seemed interested, who seemed present, and felt hope rise in your chest, only to have it fade because their actions did not match their words. Maybe they said they would call, but they never did. Maybe they promised to be there, but they canceled at the last minute. Maybe they said they cared, but their actions screamed the opposite. It is confusing. It leaves you questioning yourself, questioning them, questioning everything. But here is the truth. If their actions do not match their words, it is not about you. It is not about your perception. It is about them. And recognizing this is liberating. It frees you from the endless cycle of guessing, hoping, and rationalizing. You begin to see the pattern. You begin to understand what it really means when someone chooses to act or chooses to remain distant. That clarity is power, absolute power. Here is something most people miss. Actions are not just about what someone does. They are about consistency. One-time efforts do not count. A single grand gesture does not erase a pattern of absence. Avoidants are well known for bursts of attention, moments that feel intense but fade just as quickly as they appear. That is why it is so important to watch the rhythm, the pattern, the flow. Do they consistently show up when it matters? Do they prioritize you even when it is inconvenient for them? Do they make time for you even when it feels uncomfortable? Or is their attention always sporadic, always on their terms, leaving you questioning your worth and where you stand? Consistency in action is the clearest sign of genuine commitment, care, and choice. Once you begin paying attention to consistency, you stop being fooled by charm, sweet words, or fleeting attention. You start seeing reality as it is. That clarity changes everything. You do not need to wait for them to change. You do not need to coax them, persuade them, or convince them to behave differently. Their actions will reveal the truth on their own. And the moment you see it, the moment you understand it, you reclaim your power. You stop investing in uncertainty. You stop wasting energy on empty promises. You make decisions based on reality, not hope. That is freedom. The difference between being someone's second thought and being their true choice. The difference between being caught in confusion and living with clarity. Clarity is everything. Clarity allows you to set boundaries, protect your energy, and choose relationships that honor your value rather than drain it. So here is the takeaway. Simple but profound. Stop listening only for words. Stop searching for hidden meanings. Stop replaying conversations endlessly in your head. Start watching what they actually do. Notice where their attention goes, where their effort flows, where their presence is consistent. That is where the truth lives. That is where the answers have always been. Once you see it, once you act on it, once you make decisions based on real action, you stop being a passenger in someone else's uncertainty. You become the driver of your own life. Actions never lie. Here is something else most people do not realize. Avoidants are not distant simply because they do not care. They are distant because they are afraid. They are afraid of commitment. They are afraid of vulnerability. They are afraid of being hurt. Their distance is a shield, a protection mechanism that keeps them safe, but it also reveals the truth if you know how to read it. And once you understand it, once you accept it, you no longer chase illusions. You stop making excuses. You stop hoping for words to match actions. You focus on reality. You reclaim your power. You recognize that when someone truly chooses you, they will show it consistently, reliably, without hesitation. And that knowledge, that understanding, is liberating. It changes how you see love, relationships, and even yourself. It allows you to step into clarity, confidence, and self-respect. Afraid of being vulnerable, afraid of losing control, afraid of getting hurt. But here's the thing. The way fear shows up is different depending on whether they're dealing with someone who's just an option or someone who's a real choice. When it's only an option, their fear keeps them distant, keeps them guarded, keeps them safe. They hover around, they disappear, they test the waters without ever diving in. They keep multiple possibilities open because options feel safe. Options don't demand much. Options can be dropped without consequence. Options protect them from failure, from disappointment, from closeness, from anything that requires real risk. And from the outside, it can drive you crazy. You watch them engage with others, drift in and out, give just enough attention to make you question everything. Your mind spins, trying to figure it out, trying to make sense of something that isn't meant to make sense at that level. That's the main difference between being an option and being a real choice. Options are about safety. Real choices are about risk. When it's a real choice, when it truly matters, fear doesn't disappear, but it changes. It no longer keeps them away. Instead, it pushes them to make a decision, move forward, or step back. The moment they see that this matters, that this person, this opportunity, this moment is not passing, that it holds weight, they confront their fear. Some rise to it. Some show up fully, intentionally, with effort and focus. they act. Even though fear whispers in the back of their mind, even though insecurity knocks at the door, even though part of them wants to retreat, they step forward because the choice is real, because the stakes are high, because they feel the weight, because something inside pushes them to act. And if you watch closely, you can notice it, the subtle shift in energy, focus, and presence. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's clear. Their fear is no longer a shield. It becomes a signal, a challenge, a turning point. And when they rise to it, you have clarity. You know where you stand. You know who's invested and who isn't. But here's what many miss. Not everyone rises. Some retreat. Some step back into safety because their fear is too strong. Their walls go higher. Their instinct to protect themselves overpowers their desire to connect. And noticing that is just as important as noticing the ones who step forward, because fear always reveals the truth. If they retreat, you see the pattern. You see the boundaries of their investment. And that clarity is gold. You don't have to guess. You don't have to overthink. You don't need to plead or convince. Their actions tell you everything. Fear shows what matters, what doesn't, the difference between being an option and being a real choice. And once you see it, you can act. You can make decisions. You can take control instead of being stuck in someone else's hesitation. Think about it. How many times have you hoped someone would change? How many times have you stayed thinking they'd overcome their fear, only to realize staying cost you more than it gave you? That's because you weren't watching the signals. You weren't paying attention to their choices. You were listening to words, looking for promises, searching for intentions that weren't consistent. But when you watch how fear shapes their behavior, everything becomes clear. You see the difference between someone protecting themselves and someone truly invested. You see the line between casual interest and real commitment. And that understanding changes how you act, how you protect your heart, how you respond. You stop giving energy to uncertainty. You start giving it to clarity. And clarity is a game changer. Clarity frees you from confusion, from doubt, from spinning in circles. It lets you act in your best interest. This isn't about punishing anyone or labeling them. It's about noticing patterns, understanding behavior, and reclaiming your power. Fear will always exist, but it always reveals the truth. When someone steps up despite fear, you know they care. When someone steps back, you know you're not the priority. Both give you information, clarity, and control because you can act based on reality, not hope. Once you internalize this, you stop wasting energy on guessing games. You stop doubting, wondering, overthinking. You start acting with intention. You start choosing people who show up when it counts instead of those who show up only when it's convenient. That's empowerment. That's freedom. Next time you feel that push and pull, that back and forth, watch how fear plays out. Watch who moves forward and who steps back. Watch who rises to the challenge and who retreats to safety. Fear always shows the truth, and the truth points to clarity. Once you see it, understand it, you're no longer at the mercy of someone else's hesitation. You're awake, you're aware, you're ready. That's the moment you reclaim your power. This is where transformation begins. Once you understand the patterns, the difference between being an option and a real choice, you stop being a passenger in someone else's life. You start driving your own. You stop guessing about intentions. Stop rationalizing absence. Stop waiting for signs that may never come. You notice actions, energy, patterns, and use that clarity to make decisions for yourself. That is freedom, absolute freedom. It's not about controlling anyone else. It's about taking responsibility for your life. You can't make someone care. You can't force someone to prioritize you, but you can decide what you tolerate, where you invest, and who you allow in your space. Once you see the difference between an avoidant who keeps you as an option and one who chooses you, You draw boundaries that protect your energy. You say no to uncertainty and yes to clarity. You stop hoping for things that won't happen and focus on what actually exists. That shift is everything, because too many people live in limbo, waiting for someone to choose them, hoping a text or call will finally tell the truth. But the truth is already there, in patterns, in actions, in energy. Once you see it, you can act. Recognizing the pattern lets you choose consciously. You stop reacting emotionally to inconsistencies. You stop overthinking every pause, every delay, every unanswered message. You interpret behavior accurately, not through hope, but through reality. Decisions based on reality change your relationships, your energy, your life. You invest in those who show up for you. You stop giving your heart, time, and energy to those who don't. You reclaim power you didn't realize you gave away, and with that power, everything else aligns. This doesn't happen overnight. Patterns are ingrained, habits are strong, hope is magnetic. But by observing reality, focusing on actions instead of words, and making decisions that honor your value, the dynamic shifts. You stop being a spectator and start creating your story. You stop waiting for someone to choose you and start choosing yourself. No one else defines your worth. Your choices define your life. Your actions define your energy. Once you understand that, you live with intention, clarity, and confidence. Clarity is liberating and empowering. You can anticipate patterns. You can recognize someone who keeps you as an option, someone showing up only when convenient, someone afraid to commit. Once you see it, you don't get stuck. You don't wait. You don't chase or beg. You make your move. You step back. You step forward. You protect your energy. You prioritize yourself. You act in line with your worth. That is power. That is freedom. That is living on your terms. And the beauty of this is that when you make these decisions consistently, you attract the right people. Those who show up, those who step up despite fear, those who make choices that match your value. The avoidants who hesitate, retreat, and keep options open naturally fall away. You're no longer waiting, hoping, or guessing. You act intentionally, and that changes everything. How they treat you, how you feel, the energy of your relationships, and most importantly, how you live your life. The key takeaway: recognizing the pattern is the first step. Acting on it is real transformation. Don't stay in uncertainty. Don't let hope blind you. Don't let fear trap you in a dynamic that doesn't serve you. Watch actions, notice patterns, see the difference between an option and a real choice, and decide consciously, intentionally, with clarity and courage. That is taking your power back. That is stepping from confusion into control. That is living on your terms and refusing to let someone else dictate your worth or your future. Once you do that, you are unstoppable.